Today is an interesting day because it's going to be the first proper test of the new saw, the Cramer CS45 battery powered saw. I already have a regular petrol saw, which you might have seen me use in the past. First of all, in terms of what we're doing today, we've got a couple of projects on the go. As always, we've had some hedge cut down that was overstood and overgrown to put new fencing in. That's going to be great for the hedge in a couple of years' time because it will come back up to a proper sensible height, which is great for the wildlife. We've got plenty of trees here. We don't need trees where hedges should be. And then the other project is that some bigger trees have been brought down for that hedge line, and those trees need chopping up with this into sensible sized logs. So we're going to see how it gets on.
So, having said 2 projects, we had also decided to add a third and tidy up this small area of willow trees. This was mainly because we'd had to hire a forced tracked chipper to clear the cut down hedge, at least from where it was blocking our lane, and as we only got it for a couple of days, we thought we'd get this done at the same time. And the first day had gone very smoothly. All the willow chips end up in the pig pen, and clearing the area not only helps future willow growth to be easier to coppice for firewood, it also allows some sun and wind to dry out the ground here, which is pretty wet and boggy. Luckily, it's almost impossible to get a tractor vehicle stuck, no matter how soft the ground. So as we began day 2, we immediately got it stuck. Luckily, the winch on our Lonsin quad is absolutely amazing and was able to drag the chipper out and let us crack on. Although I did then make Jen drive the chipper because she could then be blamed if it got stuck again. As we got this area under control, it started to throw up lots of future jobs that we could tackle to improve the ground here even more.
An example of some of the stuff that we're going to be able to fix, now we've cleared it up a bit here, is this. So we've got all of these little natural springs flowing out the ground. So where this tree has fallen on it and then grown all through it, it's going nowhere, and consequently it soaks into the surrounding ground and makes everything else boggy and wet. We can now dig this out from here and create a nice neat little stream that goes all the way down and joins the bigger stream that's already down there. Right, most of what we've been using the saw for so far has been pretty light work for it. In fact, being able to use a small Makita for a lot of it, but we're starting to get to some bigger stuff now. This is a tree that had ash dieback, so it had to come down before it fell down on the new fence. A lot of this gnarly stuff that was higher up would blast straight through, and then we're on to some bigger bits, which will be a proper test for the saw. This is superb. It's funny because when I was doing the lighter stuff, it was frustrating me a tiny bit because it's heavier than my Echo saw, which is a 50cc saw. This is the equivalent of a 70cc saw. So it's heavier than that Echo, although it's not as heavy as an equivalent 70cc petrol would be. Anyway, I was thinking it's a bit heavier, it's more fatiguing to use, but now I'm onto some stuff here where the power is required. It's superb. And also 20-inch bar. My Echo runs an 18-inch bar. It doesn't sound a lot, 2 inches, but it is, isn't it? Jen's nodding furiously. It means, especially because I'm tall, I don't have to bend down quite so far. It's an extra 2 inches I don't have to lean over, which is saving my back. So, extra length, extra power, so far what's not to like?
And so as the goats worked on the brambles, I carried on clearing this lot and realised that a couple of the bigger sections here would be a perfect opportunity to test the saw properly the following day.
Right, the chipper went back yesterday and we got most of what we wanted to get done with it. What we're left with now is the big bits of wood, and therefore a good opportunity to test the Cramer battery saw against my existing Echo petrol saw. So what we've got here is wood that is either small enough that we can chop into 4-foot long logs and stack, and then when we're ready to make it into firewood, we'll put it through our log saw, which will dice it up nicely, or bigger stuff like this where we'll cut it into rounds and stack those, and then dice those up with the log splitter when we're ready to make it firewood. On both saws, I've got fresh chains. I've said before, I don't sharpen my chains when I'm out and about. I just have multiple chains, and then when they're all blunt, I sharpen them all at once on my grinder, which pretty much takes the chain back to as new. So both running new chains, both running semi-chisel chains as well with low kickback. So not as aggressive as they could be, but that's how I like it. It's going to be a reasonable test. So this is a 20-inch bar, and this piece is going to use all of it. In fact, the echo might not even be big enough to get through. It'll go through at an angle maybe. We'll see how we get on. Let's go with the Cramer first.
So step one was to tidy up this end of the log and then see how long it would take to cut straight through. This CS45 model from Cramer is their most powerful battery chainsaw and from their professional user range. It's the equivalent of a 70cc petrol saw, runs a 4.5 kilowatt motor and uses 82 volt batteries, and is a properly put together piece of kit with metal magnesium plating and an IP water rating that means it doesn't mind getting caught outside in a shower. And it went through this in under 30 seconds.
Well, that was superb. Sliced straight through, no pressure on the saw at all. And that is probably over 20 inches at its widest point. So, top marks to that. Let's try the echo. Actually, what I'm going to do, because I can't quite reach with this one in the way, I'm just going to take this down a little bit first.
And so on to the Echo. This is a CS501SX and is a great little saw, but the second I started cutting with it, it was clear it was a completely different tool to the Cramer. If your assumption is the battery power is somehow less effective, this proves that's not the case. Very quickly it was evident that if I had to clear this entire tree with only the Echo, I'd get bored pretty fast. In the end it got the job done, but took more than twice as long.
Stating the obvious, bigger, more powerful saw is quicker. What's interesting actually as well, I only noticed it as I was cutting through that one. With this, there is absolutely no vibration at all coming through the handle. I literally can't feel anything here. My hand isn't tingling or vibrating. There's almost no difference between the blade running and not. But with the petrol saw, I could feel as I was going through there, vibrating. It's interesting because this is a heavier machine, not massively, but it's heavier, and so you'd think therefore harder work to lug around. But because it's got greater reach, it's not vibrating so much, and it spends less time doing the job, it's actually easier to use, oddly. So, very impressed. This is still a great little saw, but there's no way I'd want to use this to do what I'm going to have to do now, which is dice all of this stuff up. This is hopefully going to make reasonably short work of it. It's also spitting with rain, which is only reminding me this is IPX5 rated, so you wouldn't want to go swimming with it in a bit of light rain. It's absolutely fine, no problem whatsoever. Okay, let's get on.
So very impressed, and just became more so as I worked through the rest of the wood. Cramer had seen me struggling on some bigger stuff with my petrol saw, which is why they offered to let me try this in the first place, and I'd been sceptical at first. It's great when companies want to support what we're doing here, but there's always a hesitation because not every product is as good as the maker suggests. But this thing really is as good as they said it would be. Chopping up this lot with something less powerful would have been a chore, but as it turned out, this was a perfectly pleasant afternoon. Even more so because the one issue I thought I would have, battery life, turned out to be a non-issue. Dropping batteries into the quick charger box gave 80% power after just 15 minutes, so with a couple of batteries, one on charge and one in use, that is pretty much continuous power, and obviously a lot more convenient than having to pour petrol. The only thing I had to remember was add fresh oil every couple of battery swaps, and that was made easier with a flip-up oil tank cap. As I said, all in all, very impressive. The plan had been to just keep cutting until all the wood was cleared and stacked, but once I got so tired that I began reversing into the stacked wood, I figured it was probably a good time to call it a day.
The idea was to clear this area, and I've chopped up a lot of it, which I'm about to move, but there's a couple of big ones still left, and they are staying there for two reasons. First, I'm getting tired, and wise man say, chainsaw when exhausted, kill yourself. The other thing is, at the back of my mind was it would be nice to get it cleared and finished, and then I remembered that over there there's another pile that I haven't got around to yet. So fuck it. I'm gonna move the pieces that I have cut, get it all stacked up. That would do. The rest for another day.
And so we stacked the wood, shot the thumbnail, and the job was done. Except like every job here, it's never really done. It's just made easier with the right tool.